What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the McFarlane DC Comics Multiverse Batman. And so here we have the McFarlane Detective Comics 1000 Batman posing out of the packaging. Before we have a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what he comes with. Batman does come with an oversized batarang, which I think could have been done much better. He also does come with a grapnel gun, which looks nice. Not a fan of the way they did the wiring, but it still looks like a good sculpt. And then he also does come with a McFarlane displaced base. Other than that, Batman doesn't come with anything else. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a closer look at this highly controversial figure. So here we have a closer look at the controversial McFarlane figure. Now this figure actually does have some controversy surrounding it. On the one hand, you have people saying it's a good figure. On the other hand, you have people saying it's garbage. I'm going to be honest with you. Both sides are right. Now, are they right for the right reasons? Let's actually take a look at it. A lot of people have been complaining about this Batman head, saying it doesn't look like a good Batman head. And that's where they're wrong. This is actually a really good Batman head, and when I saw it, I thought it was terrible, but having a look at it, it's actually a really decent sculpt for Batman. I really do like it. It has this really comic book feel to it. It's a really artistic interpretation of Batman, but it does look like Batman. I'm not going to take that away from it. The eyes could be a little bit bigger, and his cowl could be a little more defined, but again, this is a comic representation of Batman, and they did a really good job capturing it here. Now, where I think the figure does fall a little bit, if I can just zoom the camera out a little bit, it's how small his head is. If this head came on a 6-inch Batman figure, I'm 1000% sure everybody would love this head sculpt because it looks like a good Batman head sculpt. Because the body it's on doesn't match the head, I'm gonna guess that's where a lot of people have a lot of issues with this. The head is really small, and that is something even I'm pointing out here, that's a really small Batman head. Compared to the rest of the body is a really good Batman sculpt. Now, there's a lot to like about the sculpt, and there's some things to hate about the sculpt. As far as things to like about the sculpt, the bat insignia right here is done really well. It actually might be a separate piece that they've glued into the torso. And I just love how it looks. It doesn't look like it was painted all the way, but it also does look like there's some wear and tear on it, so I guess you can chalk it up to battle damage. So I do like that. I like the way the cape drapes over the shoulders. That's pretty much how you would imagine Batman's cape to be. Taking a look at his cape, I think McFarlane did a really good job with this cape. It's nice, it's flowing. It's not going in one direction, so it actually does balance the figure really well. And I love the sculpt work going onto the lines. Now, unfortunately, this is where the cape should be tucked into the cowl, not coming over the cowl. That's something that can easily be fixed, but that's something that McFarlane needs to remember moving forward, is that the cowl tucks, or the cape tucks into the cowl, not the cowl tucking into the cape. Now, the anatomy on this guy is all over the place. Some places it looks good, some places it doesn't. Arms are actually the right size for the body. Now, the anatomy on his arms are a little bit thin from the side, but from the front they look decent as it is. And like I said, the anatomy on the arm is wrong, but for a stylistic figure, it's nothing you should really be worried about. Really do like the way they did the gauntlets, and I love the fact that these are softer plastic, so you don't have to worry about them breaking if this figure drops. Let's actually take a look at his torso now, because that's another point of contention for this figure. Moving his arms up. From the front angle, it does look like a really good Batman sculpt. Now, one thing I don't like is how they sculpted the extra pair of abdominal muscles onto here. Now, I do have a theory that maybe his torso should sit higher, mainly because when you take apart the figure, and I have already done this, he only has abs right here and up here, so maybe this is supposed to sit higher because you can see the abdomen right here. You can see the ab muscles on the inside, and then they get covered by these muscles right here. So maybe his torso should sit higher. I've already popped this figure apart, and when I position his abdomen higher, it looks much better, and everything tends to line up better. So maybe there's a piece of him that's actually missing. There's no way to actually tell. So yeah, that's something I didn't notice when I took this figure apart. He does have some nice texturing right here on the side. Now, one thing a lot of people say is that he looks kind of fat. If we can move his arm off to the side. It's not that he's fat. They actually gave Batman what I call a powerlifting body. His abdomen muscles are protruding out. Now, if you are a power lifter or lift heavy weights and you don't wear a weight belt, your abdomen muscles tend to blow out and they give you like a pot belly. It's not that it's bad for you, but that's just the way it looks when you start powerlifting and lifting heavy weights. That's kind of what they did here with Batman, so he kind of does have a powerlifting body going for him. The utility belt is done really nicely. I do like the sculpt work on it. The pouches are done really cleanly. And for the most part, there's no error in paint aside from one or two little spots. So it's done really well. I kind of wish that we got a grapnel gun that could peg on somewhere. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Trunks look good. Batman doesn't have super defined legs, but they're defined enough. We do get some nice sculpt work right here on his suit going all the way down. So they continue the sculpt work perfectly on this figure, and it does break up the smooth texture that we've seen in the past. And I would prefer having textured over just smooth. Even panel linings can bring out some detail. And then, of course, we do get the standard Batman boots, which do look pretty good. So overall, again, there's things to like about this figure, things to hate about this figure. I think the head could be bigger, but for a 6-inch Batman, that's actually a really good head size. So it's up in the air on what this Batman was trying to be. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Batman posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a Mattel DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Batman posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Batman posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we have the McFarlane Multiverse Batman posed next to the NECA 2-pack Batman. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at this Batman's articulation. Now, he does have a lot of articulation, so we have a lot to get through. He does have a double ball joint in the head, so he does look up quite a bit, and then he does look down quite a bit. Head does tilt side to side really well, and of course we do rotate perfectly on that joint. He also does have an extra ball joint at the base of his neck, so we do get some more movement right there, some more side to side at the neck, but it's really hindered by his cape, so most of the movement is going to come from this joint, which does work really well, as you can see. Arms are on ball sockets that connect into the arm, so they do move forward, they do move back, they do move down, and they do move up. They do go out more than horizontal, so I do like that. They would do a full 360. Well, actually, they do a full 360. The cape actually does a good job getting out of the way. I wasn't expecting that. We do have some rotation right here at the bicep. We have a double bend in the elbow, giving us quite a bit of range, better than 90 degrees. No swivel here at the gauntlet, but we do have a ball hinge right here in the wrist, which does provide an up and down movement right there. And if we turn that joint inwards, we do get in and out movement. And then we get really soft hands for Batman, so that does rotate. Now, we do have a single ball joint right here in his torso, and it does go back slightly. A lot of people say it doesn't move, but it moves, guys. His ball joint does, in fact, move. This is soft enough that it does get out of the way, so he does crunch forward. But it does kind of give him a beer belly if you do that. So do be aware that you give Batman a beer belly if you do that. And then it leans side to side and as well as rotates. We do have another ball joint right here at the waist, which does allow for some more side-to-side movement. As you can see, goes back quite a ways. And then combining those two joints, he does go forward quite a bit. So he does have some range, despite what a lot of people are saying, and that does rotate no problem. Legs do hinge out all the way, so he does do the split on both sides. His legs do kick out a little close to 90 degrees. Actually, that's past 90 degrees, so I do like that. And this is a floating rubber piece, so if you find his legs getting stuck, you can move that up a little bit, and then his legs go up. But do be aware that it might kick the leg down. It's not doing it that time, so just be aware of that. We do have rotation up here in the thigh. Surprisingly well. I'm actually surprised at how well that works. That's probably the best we've seen so far. Double bend in the knee, goes back to about that far, which is acceptable. Ball hinge in the ankle, so it does rotate. We do have a hinge that goes forward and back. We can rotate that for some nice rocker ankle. And then, of course, we do have forward-facing pin for rocker ankle, and then a very generous toe hinge. So overall, Batman here is a hit and miss figure, but I think he looks good for what he is. Again, if I had one issue, it's with the head being just a little bit too small. If it was just slightly bigger, it would be much better. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Batman posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the McFarlane Multiverse Batman posed for my final thoughts, and overall, I really do like this figure, but at the same time, I don't like it. It's one of those figures that some people say it's great, some people say it's garbage. It's kind of in the middle, so I'm going to say it's pretty good. It could be much better, though. It's not a great Batman figure by any stretch of the imagination, but we have seen worse. Mattel has given us some very terrible Batman figures, and they've also given us some really great Batman figures too, but for a first outing, I think McFarlane did a really good job capturing the spirit of Batman. Now, a few issues I do have to point out is that his abdomen joint kind of looks weird. I might end up modifying that in a little bit. His head is just a tiny bit too small. If they had increased the size by about maybe 15 to 20%, it would work much better. The sculpt on the face is really good. It's a really good Batman sculpt, and like I said, if it was a 6-inch Batman figure, people would say that that is a really good head sculpt. So I think people are just saying it's bad because it's small. As far as his accessories go, the grapnel gun looks good. I would have preferred just the grapnel gun without the pre-sculpted line, and then the batarang that he comes with is garbage as it is. The stand does help him stand upright without falling, but he has a good enough base that he doesn't need his display stand. So overall, I would say give this figure a chance. If you end up liking it, you like it, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not saying to love this line, I'm not saying to hate this line, but just give it a chance. You might find that you enjoy a figure more than you thought. He's not garbage like Arrow was, so at least there's that. So if you are looking for this Batman, I have started to see them hit stores now. I actually picked up my Batman from my local comic book store, so huge shout out to Asylum Comics for getting this out to me so I could review it for you guys. For the price point, this is a really good articulated Batman, but if you're a little on the fence, like I said, just try it out. If you don't like it, you can always return it. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other DC Multiverse videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, don't forget to check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.